Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your host, Jay, and you're watching From Inside Out. Thank you guys so much for joining. I do very much appreciate it. And as usual, I got on the hot phone my colleague, my best friend, my sister, Jaylee. Welcome to the show, Jaylee.
Welcome, everybody. So wonderful to be here. I'm so honored. Thank you so much, Jay. And let's get the show started.
Yeah, and just for you and everybody else, can you guess what the topic is going to be tonight?
I can't, but I'm sure it's going to be something stimulating.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the mental health issues right here from Inside Out. How's that sound?
Oh, boy, that's an appropriate topic for sure. It's not covered too often, and a lot of things need to be discussed regarding that topic.
Yeah, and I believe, with all due respect, by the way, with major amount of due respect, you're one of those good colleagues that can speak on this topic because, believe it or not, unfortunately, you got quite a amount of an experience dealing with this topic. So I'm glad you called into the studio.
Yeah, it's a little loud right now because, as you know, I'm calling in live from a prison, and they're doing movement to our recreation this afternoon. So it's a little loud in the background, so apologize for that. Timing usually is never correct with these shows, but we're going to work around it. So yeah, this topic is very near and dear to my heart because of all the suffering I've gone through and the lack of mental health treatment inside the Washington Corrections System.
Right. And before we get into it, real quick, just to recap, kind of have a little bit of flashback here for all of you that are just tuning in and not aware of it. To the winners of last night's contestants, I just want to give a major shout out and a major congratulations on every single one of you that participated in that event and was part of the show, and to the winners. As you guys probably know, you saw in the live chat last night, the main winner, which I believe his name was, or his channel name was called PC Audits. Just so you know, he was a grand prize winner. And this is the respect level that I'm talking about that I really, really enjoy. And Jaylee, you might agree with me on this because I think you liked what he did here. He's not even accepting the winnings. He wants the winnings to go to some kind of organization, such as a food bank or something like that. How do you feel about that, Jaylee? Isn't that fucking, excuse my language, isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's amazing. It just goes to show you the conduct of his character, and I'm very pleased with that as well because obviously the food banks need help, and most importantly, feeding people, especially during this time of year, is very important. So, yeah, we're very thankful for that choice, and we're going to honor that.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. So it looks like somebody's going to be getting some good food or some good meals, especially if it goes to a food bank. Thanks to PC Audits and this contest. Just a quick update for all of you guys. We will be having more contests similar to that, or maybe something even different than that, later down the road if things pan out the way we are hoping. So good things are coming down the pike when it comes to this podcast right here live from Inside Out. Jaylee?
Yeah, we're excited. We have a lot of things in development as we speak. And, of course, as you can tell, we have a lot of updated equipment for our show. And we're launching this show in a positive direction. Of course, we've had quite a lot of help along the way. So we're very appreciative and thankful for all those out there that have been helping us and encouraging us not to give up, especially during trying times. So back to you, Jake.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And of course, now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into the topic tonight, dealing with mental health crisis or mental health issues inside of our prisons here in all 50 states. We have a new scheduling too, by the way. We are now not going to be doing any more podcasts, live or pre-recorded events on Sunday. I made my determination on that due to the fact because of the bad timing. It's the end of the week, people getting ready for work and all that. And it's just bad timing. I don't get a very big turnout either on Sundays. So we've changed our scheduling, and the other members of From Inside Out are in agreement with this, including my own family, believe it or not. So with that said, we're going to be doing, like, today's Monday. So here, you get me on Mondays now, and you'll get me on, what is it? I think Wednesdays and Fridays. And Saturday and Sundays are my days off. So that's how this is going to be turning out from this point forward on. So if you've been craving me a lot more, I will be doing a lot more shows on the days I just mentioned. Jaylee?
Yeah, I think this is a schedule that's appropriate for everybody. It's fair. It kind of gives us time to prepare for shows through pre-production. But most importantly, it gives you the weekend off to spend with your family, because I know that your wife has been craving more of your attention. And so we're going to honor that.
Right. It's called balance the personal life out on a balancer. You know what I mean? And the struggle's real. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into the topic real quick. We are doing a mental health show right here from Inside Out. And I got some data to back up that. And why I'm showing the data, Jaylee, with your own personal experience of what you've seen and encountered in there, please take the seat, take the floor, and express us to you, or to us, I should say, excuse me, of what goes on inside prisons when it comes to mental health. Jaylee, floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. Well, obviously, this is one of those topics that are sensitive to some listeners. So if you have any younger people that are listening into this particular broadcast, we may be discussing some sensitive subjects in this topic. So just giving you a fair warning there, and listening discretion is advised. But most importantly, we're going to talk about the lack of mental health care and mental health treatment inside our corrections systems, not just in Washington, but throughout the United States. One thing that stands out for me is that when I was arrested and incarcerated in the early 90s, I was in quite a troubling crisis mentally myself, and there was no mental health care or treatment available, and if it was, it wasn't published anywhere, so I didn't even know it existed. And those that were providing what I would consider the minimal amount of mental health care or treatment, it was hard to get a hold of those people. And unfortunately, over time, in the past 30 years, I've been incarcerated, and unfortunately, yes, that's true. This is going on my 30th year now of being locked up. I can tell you 30 years of witnessing what has happened with mental health care in Washington. It's severely lacking. Either the people who are employed to provide those services don't quite know how to treat us appropriately, or there's a lack of staff to deal with those who are very troubled in their mind. So
Correct.
I have experienced this to some degree, some days worse than others, but it seems like we're dealing with a system that just doesn't seem to care too much.
No, you're absolutely correct, and you hit that on the nail too, unfortunately, because and I've hate to say this like this, but I experienced it when I was down. Just so you know, and everybody else watching knows, I experienced it. I saw people have breakdowns in there, on their beds, in their cell, wherever they're having it, and D.O.C. don't do a damn thing. Jaylee?
Yeah, well, you got to understand, part of the problem is there's always been a negative stigma associated with those who are dealing with a mental health crisis. Those who are dealing with it usually are ridiculed or harassed or teased or bullied because people perceive someone as weak. You're supposed to be this masculine male, and here you are having a breakdown, and then you're perceived as weak because of it. But because of this national stigma that's placed on those with mental health crises, that's why most people don't come out and ask for help, and that drives a lot of the isolation that you see.
Right, and again, it's be shocking. It's kind of sad. It's very, very sad that you hit that. We shouldn't even be talking like that. We shouldn't even have that kind of information out there to share with people. You guys should be getting the same treatment in a such way that, like out here, we have everything readily made for us. In some places, you can just walk down to your local treatment provider area or mental health area or hospital, wherever you decide to go and get help, and you can get it. But in there, for some odd reason, that kind of opportunity, in a sense, doesn't exist. And that pisses me off. Jaylee?
Oh, it should. It should make, citizens in this country very upset, because a lot of your taxpayer dollars are going to provide appropriate mental health care for those who are locked up, whether it's a loved one of yours or not. However, that money never really gets spent for those purposes, and usually gets siphoned off into other mysterious accounts or disappears. So we don't tend to get the treatment that the money should be there for us, and it's just not.
Right, and you know what's funny, when you said that, the bigger question is, where is the rest of it going? And I think you hit it on right where it's going. It's going in somebody's pockets.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's another problem. So we have 3 or 4 or 5, probably more number of problems on top of just those who are dealing with the crisis. You have to ask yourself, how can we really fix it if you have people who are inherently corrupt and don't want to change? I mean, it makes it very difficult to change the system when people don't want to change.
Man, okay. I'm glad you brought that up. May I hit on that real quick?
Certainly.
I think our problem, the reason why change doesn't really happen, a couple reasons, and you might or not agree with me on this, but from what I've seen and gathered and what I've studied so far, anyways, since I started doing this, Jaylee, I believe a lot of it's mindset, and on top of that, intimidation. On top of that, fear factor. People are not going to be on the same page for those reasons I just explained. Getting people to follow us as a whole, to get out there and put your feet on the ground or your boots to the ground and do the march at the Capitol and whatnot and stand up to these guys. That's the problem where it lies. Jaylee?
Yeah, well, we always appreciate it when there's large turnouts to make a public spectacle over a distrust in government, and also to express our outrage over a lack of, for example, in this topic, lack of mental health care in our prisons. There needs to be more people showing up. There needs to be more push to have more laws changed. Our lawmakers really need to show the public that they're more involved in this. We don't see that very often either. So there's a lot of different issues that need to be addressed, and most importantly, the issue that I think should be at the forefront is that if you know somebody incarcerated, just write them a simple letter, send them a simple email, invite them to call you one time on the phone. Sometimes it's a simple conversation, a greeting card that says, "Hey, how are you doing?" That makes all the difference, and it's less than 5-10 minutes to send a greeting card to somebody who's incarcerated. It's very meaningful and means so much.
No, absolutely. And again, a lot of it is people's. I address this a lot to you guys. I don't mean to sound like a broken record to all of you that are listening to this right now, including you, Jaylee. But you have to understand that people's mindset when it comes to this is just not there. They don't want to hear the facts or the truth. And believe it or not, truth can be scary, as you've probably seen and heard in some situations. Truth can never have its day. And that's the frustrating part on my behalf, because it's like drama has its day. Drama sells and sells and sells. Drama videos go viral. I mean, I'm getting off topic, but Jimmy Christmas, everything is just a buttload of stupid sells. Truth doesn't. And it's irritating as hell.
Yeah, well, truth would sell if there was a large movement for truth. And so the more people that want truth and that are actually vocally tired of drama, the more we have that going on, then you see the movement moving in that direction. More people will pile on, and then eventually things will change. But until we have a mass movement and an attitude that switches to we want truth now, we don't want drama anymore. Until that happens, things will never change.
Right, I agree. All right, ladies and gentlemen, enough jibber jabber, if you will, on that. Thank you, Jaylee, for your insight and information. Again, I really do appreciate it more than you know. On your screen, you guys can see what we're talking about, and I'm gonna, for your guys' eyes, I'm gonna enlarge this so you guys can see it better. So full screen, and when I do that, you may think I disappeared. No, I'm still here. You just can't see me, but you can hear me. So just be warned. So on the grand scheme of things, what you see here is a article or some information regarding this very topic we're talking about today. And again, this is just one piece of the pie, ladies and gentlemen. This goes on in all prisons every single day. As I sit here and talk to you, somebody is being neglected right now, either in my sister's prison or some other prison here in the United States, somewhere. And of course, people have died with being neglected, and they're not getting the fair treatment. And again, we can talk about meds and the generic meds. They can't get the brand name meds. It's all a money scheme. All right. So pay attention to that as we go along here, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So Jaylee, we're on a web page that I'm pretty sure you're aware of. It's called APA, or better known for some of you, American Psychological Association. I think I said that correct. Is that correct, Jaylee?
Yeah, American Psychiatric Association. It's a nationally known association that deals with mental health throughout the United States.
All right. Well, I got an article, and I don't know if you came across this, read this article, or any of that, but I'm pretty sure you can relate to this article. Again, this is factual information coming in. This was, I believe, posted and written by a lady named Heather Stringer. I think I pronounced that right. Stringer, Stringer. It was published around March 2019, and it's volume 50 of number 3. So there's more articles besides what you see on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a 12-minute read. So if you like reading and you like facts, you like information, you like data, here it is. So a little bit of tidbit information about this. We're dealing with a 24-year-old individual who goes by the name of, and again, I apologize for beating up this name. I'll spell it. Jamycheal. Is it Jamycheal? I'm sorry, guys. I do apologize. But nonetheless, this is a 24-year-old individual. So the information goes like that, or like this. Had not been taking his schizophrenia medication. Imagine that. When he was arrested for stealing a bottle of Mountain Dew. Yes, petty. He was brought to jail for stealing Mountain Dew and a Snickers bar and a zebra cake. So he stole some items. Okay, I don't condone it, but still, petty. From a 7-Eleven, after waiting more than a month in jail, he was found to be incompetent to stand trial due to mental illness and ordered to go to state hospital for help, basically. So you guys can see right there, you don't know what you're dealing with until it comes out later. So what's your take on this?
1 minute left.
Sorry about this. These phone calls are timed, ladies and gentlemen. So what's your take on this, Jaylee? And you can call me back.
Yes, I will call you back quickly, but just real quickly, it seems like someone was neglecting him and not providing the meds for him, which drove him to be in a situation where he was accused of a crime. Unfortunately, then he ended up in jail, and his mental health got worse, and that's just a classic example of the failures of our judicial system. So I'll call right back.
All right, thank you. So,
The caller has hung up.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as you guys can see right there, mental illness is, in a sense, non-visible. You don't know if somebody's suffering from a mental illness until you really get into the brass tacks with it. That's where we're at with it, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately. So, bear with me, guys. So we're dealing with the crisis that goes on every day in our prisons: mental illness, mental this, mental that, not getting the proper meds, and so forth. I mean, it goes on every day. And then you probably got questions in your head going like, well, I paid my taxes for that. Where's my tax dollars? Where's the meds? Where's this? Where's that? I think it's obviously apparent where it's at. Okay? It's definitely not going what it's supposed to be paid for. It's going to somebody's pocket, unfortunately. Welcome back to the show, Jaylee. Thank you so much for calling back. I do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me again and being patient with this phone system. It's not the best in the world, but it works okay.
Yeah, I wish you could be on longer, and I wish these things weren't timed, as you probably know. But we're just reading a story on this, and what breaks my heart is how people are treated before, they even get checked out. Again, I was telling my viewers while you were gone calling back, I was telling my viewers that all mental illness, believe it or not, is non-visible. You don't know if somebody's got a disorder of some type until you find out. Isn't that true?
Yeah, ultimately that tends to be the case because those who are struggling with those issues tend to not voice their concerns in the public, and for the most part, usually it's a private matter. So because of that, most people don't know that someone is in a crisis. Right.
And on the screen, again, I'm going to enlarge this so you guys can see it. I just want to come back so you guys know I'm still here. Where I left off, it says this with this story. And it says a combination of psychiatric medication, health treatment, and education about the legal process, but no beds were available. Imagine that. No beds were available. So where's our tax dollars now, guys? I've been saying this many, many times before. No beds available.
Yeah, not surprising.
And so Mitchell, I'm just going to say Mitchell's condition deteriorated as weeks turned into months. Totally 100% uncalled for, ladies and gentlemen. Totally. He was in jail for these petty crimes, as you saw me read up there before, stealing Mountain Dew and a couple candy bars. And he wasn't getting his medication for months. Okay, so let's read more, or let's continue. It says here, into months, while he waited in jail. See, I told you. So he was waiting in jail for his meds, but not getting treated for anything. He refused to eat and take medication, which I don't blame him. 4 months after his arrest, Mitchell was found dead in his cell, covered in urine and feces. He had died of cardiac arrhythmia, or basically, in a sense, almost like a heart attack, related to wasting syndrome, a disorder categorized by extreme weight loss. Your take on that, Jaylee?
Yeah, well, it doesn't take common sense to realize that someone's in a crisis when they have chronic weight loss, and you can see that they are anorexic or
they weren't eating.
It should have alerted people that there was a problem early on.
Yeah, well, he refused, again, sis, he refused to eat.
Well, then what they should have done is put him in a situation where they had a court order, and they would have to force feed him in order to keep him alive. Otherwise, the other method he would have had some kind of legal documentation, allowing his passing. But in a situation like that, when they're in a jail or a confined space, the people responsible for his health and safety are those who are his captors, whether they're jail correction staff or Department of Corrections staff in the state prison system. They're ultimately responsible, and so are the medical staff that should have been treating him.
Yeah, and this is another prime example. Again, great conversation, Jaylee. I do appreciate that information there. But here's another prime example and proof in the pudding, ladies and gentlemen, that people like this don't deserve to be in jail. Period. This individual should have been in a hospital. Okay? That's where he should have been. He could have taken care of the petty crime scenario a little bit later, but let's fix his issues first, then deal with the punishment for stealing a freaking candy bar. Jaylee?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to deal with the health related issues first to stabilize that person in order to deal with the other issues.
D.O.C, you should be ashamed of yourself. And I hope the family sued the pants off all of you. Jaylee?
Yeah, well, lawsuits help. Yes, that's true. Especially if you have a really decent attorney that will fight for you and your surviving loved one's rights. But lawsuits can only go so far.
I agree.
The laws have to change. And our lawmakers have to get up on their ass and change these laws so those who are dealing with the mental health crisis can get the help they need.
I agree. I agree. I agree 100%. This is what I say to all politicians, whether I like you or don't like you, whether you're Republican or Democrat. This is what I say to you if you guys tune in and watch my videos. Visit a prison. Period. Go visit a prison. Don't let them know you're coming. Just go. You'll see firsthand what's going on in there. Jaylee?
Yeah, they never like surprise visits because they don't know you're coming. And lawmakers, that's the goal. That's the idea, right? You don't want to give them a heads up, hey, we're going to come and check you out. No, because they're going to clean up the area. They're going to make it look like it looks really nice, and they're going to start making it look like they're treating people with respect. And in reality, as soon as those lawmakers leave or the inspectors leave, all of a sudden it goes right back to hell again.
Absolutely. And again, like I said, let me get back to you real quick here. Or me, I should say, excuse me, because I want to hit on this because we're on fire right now, sis, believe it or not. So this is where I'm at, ladies and gentlemen, with this whole scenario. We're talking about mental health issues today on this podcast, but sometimes if you know me and you've been following me for quite some time now, I can accidentally go off track and get my emotions involved in this. I try not to, but that's the human side of me, ladies and gentlemen. I don't mean to, but hear me out. At least hear me out and say this. I can't stand the way policy and the way D.O.C. and the state, no matter where you live, is doing this. There is always a better freaking solution. I cannot stand watching these type of, not watching. Well, in some cases, I do get video of shit happening like this. We need to treat our mental with the mental hospitals. We need to treat our criminals from a criminal aspect, if that makes any sense. We can't put them in the same category. Come on, people. Jaylee, your take.
Yeah, well, it's been known for quite a long time that when you mix those that are suffering mental health crisis with those who don't have mental health crisis, it just makes those who are suffering a mental health crisis more vulnerable to attacks or misuse or abuse.
Yeah.
So, it's never a good idea to mix those populations.
Right, and let me ask you a question, if I may, to you, Jaylee. How do you feel about mental health as a whole? Do you think mental health should be in jails and prisons, or do you think they should be somewhere else? Your take on that?
I've always been an advocate for creating facilities for proper mental health care. Hospitals tend to get overrun, and in here, Washington State, our Western State Hospital was actually shut down by the governor removing their license to practice mental health care because of all the abuse that was happening at Western State Hospital here in Washington State. So Western State no longer takes mental health patients due to the problems associated with the way they treated people. And really the buck stops with our governor. And in every individual state, every governor is responsible for facilities to treat those with mental health issues. So really, you have to get a hold of the governor's office and your lawmakers and make sure they have enough facilities
No, I know. I get it. I get it. Still no call or excuse for it. But, and so what you're telling me in Washington State, the the mental hospital is full and they can't take any more patients. So what kind of solution can we come up with that? I got one. How about build another mental health hospital instead of another prison? Your take.
Yeah, well, I would tend to agree with that because the importance of providing appropriate mental health care to those who need it. And you can only do that in a proper mental health setting.
Yeah. No, their solution, believe it or not, sis, and I don't know if you know this or are aware of it or even agree, but their solution to solving these issues that we're addressing here today on this podcast is build another prison. That's the way they figure out and fix mass incarceration issues.
Yeah, it's a backwards form of thinking because they tend to turn the prisons, especially the solitary confinement cells, into mental health wings. And then those who are dealing with mental health crisis who are in solitary confinement with less human interactions or contact and no access to a doctor, they will, disintegrate into something that you wouldn't want to even look at. So putting them in solitary confinement is not the answer either.
Right. So I'm going to go back to the page here in just a second, but I want your take on what you've witnessed and what you've seen. And, has anything happened to you on this topic that we're addressing here today on From Inside Out? So let's get some insight and information from you if you want. If it's too hard to talk about, respectful, I respect that and we won't push you. But nonetheless, if you want to talk about what happened, what you've seen in there, please, the floor is yours. And we'll go back to the webpage here in just a second. Jaylee, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. I won't go into too much detail here because it's probably inappropriate for this show, but I'll do some basic stuff for our listeners. I recently, as some of our listeners know, I recently did 10 months solitary confinement in a segregation housing for an event that I did not do, even though I was accused of it.
Yeah.
Long story short, while I was in solitary confinement, I ran into neighbors who were dealing with mental health crises. And then, of course, I was struggling and dealing with my own issues associated with the most recent incident, which got me placed there in the first place. Mm-hmm. So now I'm surrounded by neighbors who clearly are suffering schizophrenia or bipolar or multiple personalities and banging on their doors and making odd noises all day and all night long, so it's hard for me to sleep.
Yeah, that's got to be rough. That's got to be rough.
In close quarters like that, with loud metal doors banging and people yelling and screaming and going through their own crises, it definitely can wear on your mental health. If you are not strong mentally, you will slowly start to lose it yourself.
Wow. And
there were definitely moments in my stay there where I thought that my mental health was to the point where I needed to reach out for help, and I'm not ashamed to say that I did. I did reach out for help, and it took weeks and weeks for someone to actually come and talk to me at my cell front. But by that time, I hadn't slept in days, I haven't eaten very well, and I hadn't showered because I was dealing with my own crisis, which was brought on by a system that just throws you in segregation and basically throws away the key and doesn't care about you.
Wow. That's a lot of information in one little topic. Holy crap. And from all of us here from Inside Out, including your colleague Jay, the host for this podcast, we are very sorry you had to go through that.
Well, thank you. What kept me motivated in the positive direction to where I didn't fall off the deep end, pardon the pun, was I received cards, I received letters.
Which helps, right? It helps.
Team. I had a strong support team. My family, different organizations I've worked for over the years. I was receiving mail. People reminded me constantly over the phone that I'm not doing this by myself. There's a team trying to help me get me out of there. And I just have to say, during our show today, that disability rights in Washington and Black and Pink Northwest in Washington,
Amen.
and beyond these walls,
Amen.
Oregon, And family, friends, and loved ones, and our loyal listeners and fans, you all stood up and did a call to action, and you fought the system. And 10 months later, I was released from solitary confinement.
Congratulations on your victory on that. How do you feel now, and how are you doing, and what's your next step during your incarceration, if you don't mind me asking, sis?
Yeah, well, I'm in a general population setting now. I'm just trying to cope and heal from what I just endured. It's going to take some time. I'm slowly interacting with longtime friends I've known for many years, and I'm doing some programs here. So I'm starting to get out and be active again within the prison society.
Well, I'm happy for you, and everybody here that belongs to these organizations and this studio, and from everybody here from Inside Out, family, personal, however you want to look at it, all across the board, everybody is very proud of what's going on with you right now. So congratulations on your victory, if you want to call it that, of getting out of the hole. And now we're moving on, or you are moving on to bigger and better things. And great job, Jaylee. And I guess, of course, if you don't mind me asking this or saying this for this podcast, I guess I understand you have another lawsuit coming down the pike. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Due to the way I was treated and the absolutely astronomical, illogical, and no justification amount of time I spent there, I have an attorney willing to now file a lawsuit against the Department of Corrections.
Amen. Awesome possum. The downside, though, about this, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, these lawsuits work, but they don't work. They work a lot better if we can hit them in the pockets of their own personal pockets. Their own, lawsuiting them and making them lose their house, their car, their boat, their property. And I think that's more deeply impacted there than a lawsuit where the taxpayers have to pay for it. You agree, Jaylee?
Yeah, right now the Attorney General in every state will indemnify or financially protect those who are accused or those who are being sued by a prisoner, because the people usually being sued by a prisoner are state employees. So it's the state Attorney General's office that will run to their rescue and defend them and indemnify them and pay all their expenses.
Uncalled for. I just don't care for that, to be honest with you. I think that's pathetic. But more on that later in a later show. But ladies and gentlemen, real quick, before we get back into the topic, I do apologize for skipping all around everywhere. If you have a locked up loved one currently right now dealing with something like what my colleague and owner and founder from Inside Out, Jaylee, has just explained, get in touch with us right now at voicesfrominsideout@gmail.com. Again, our email is voicesfrominsideout@gmail.com. And what that does is I will get your message and I will hook you up or send you in the right direction to help you in your current situation or your locked up loved one's current situation. Because if my sister, I do apologize, my sister Jaylee or Jennifer Lee can do this, you all can do it too as well. Find yourself a jailhouse lawyer or a jailhouse attorney, however you want to look at it. Get yourself educated, know your rights, and fill out the proper paperwork and sue what you need to sue. Jaylee?
Yeah, it really takes a lot of advocacy work and a team effort to fight the system and expose the systematic problems that are going on. Without our voices getting out there, the public would never know.
Absolutely. And we're back on topic here on this webpage with the mental health crisis. And I'm going to go ahead and read the rest of this off as much as I can. And then we're going to go ahead and have our closing arguments. And we're going to go ahead and bounce out of here for this podcast here today. Again, thank you guys so much for joining and tuning in and putting comments down below and supporting what you can. You are all very, very much appreciated. So let me go ahead and finish this, what happened to this person. Again, this individual, Mitchell, was found dead in his cell due to mental health issues, not eating, and all of that. So his candy bar and his cake and whatever else, or his Mountain Dew that he stole, ended up costing his life. And I can guarantee you this, ladies and gentlemen, a Mountain Dew was about $2 out here today, about $2 or $3, depending on where you're going and getting it at. The Snicker bar, about $1 or so, give or take, and a zebra cake, probably about less than $1. So he died less than five.
1 minute left.
He died less than $5. Yay!
And that's a damn shame.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's your system right there in front of you. Jaylee, I'll let you call back. We'll finish this off.
Okay, I'll call back real quickly. Yeah, I definitely want to touch on that.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Caller has hung up.
again, these calls are timed and also recorded, so that's how things work around here. So, as you guys can see, this guy gave up his life and died pretty much for anywhere around $5 or under $5. He went to jail for a Mountain Dew, a Snickers, a zebra cake. Oh my God, that's so heinous. Oh, that's so bad. So if you're going to steal a Snickers or a Mountain Dew or some type of zebra cake or any cake for that matter, you better make sure you got a fucking, excuse my language, a insurance plan on your ass. That's what's wrong with this country. And there's proof right there in the pudding. People are dying every single day over petty, petty stuff. What's your take on this, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think this person should have went to jail for a Snickers and a Mountain Dew? Or do you think he should have went to a mental hospital where he should have been treated in the first place and he'd still probably be alive today? I don't know. But I do know this. He shouldn't have died over something petty like this. Welcome back to the show from Inside Out, Jaylee. Thank you so much for tuning back in. I know these calls are so timed, I hate it. But anyways, go ahead and touch base on how you feel about that person dying over less than a $5 bill.
Yeah, well, last time I checked, a person's life was worth a lot more than $5.
There you go.
Pretty simple, right? I mean, a lot of it in a life is just common sense. I mean, where were the people that were supposed to be his heroes? Where were they at?
Yeah, where was his family? Do you think, let me ask you this, Jaylee, while you're on topic here. And I don't know if what your answer is going to be. This is just straight guessment here. But would you have housed this individual in jail or prison for Snickers?
No, I want to give him a death ticket and a ticket order to appear in the future and let him go.
Or how about this? This is what I would have done. I would have gave him time to come up with the money and replace what he stole, money-wise. Here you go. You didn't lose anything. I mean, let's think about this logically here, folks. So $5, the store makes more in profit than $5, and a lot of this stuff's taxed. So at the end of the year, he's going to get that $5. That store is going to get their money back regardless what the hell was stolen. What do you think?
Yeah, and most stores their money is insured anyway.
But we're talking Snickers. We're talking cake and a Mountain Dew, for crying out loud. Really?
Goes to show you what ignorance will do.
How about selfishness and greed?
How about hiring heartless people to deal with these people?
I can go on and on, Jaylee. This is what gets me going. This is the only reason why I do what I do, and this is the reason why you do what you do, right?
Yeah, and well, we appreciate what you do, that's for sure, because you're helping us get a voice to those who otherwise wouldn't have one.
Absolutely. Amen to that. All right, folks, enough jabbering. I apologize on that. Anyways, cases like this are so tragic, this statement says, because they are preventable. Aren't they preventable? Absolutely. We just touched base on it. And this is coming from psychologists. Psychologists are saying this is preventable, who advocate for more effective mental health services in correctional facilities. The unfortunate truth is that despite improvements over the past 30 years, folks, the correctional system continues to struggle to meet the vast needs of the increasing number of inmates with mental health conditions, says Thomas Faig, a PhD professor. Your take on that, Jaylee?
Yeah, more laws don't make less crime.
Bingo! That's a boom right there.
So your lawmakers, they want to pass and make more laws or make laws more strict or, come up with petty-ass rules or procedures or policies that make it hard for you to even step on the ground between your car and your front door without touching the ground. Look, there are so many laws, policies, and procedures on the books. You could get lost in all of that stuff and never make sense of any of it. And I get it. You got to have law and order in the country. But at the same time, common sense dictates sometimes laws are just ridiculous. You don't need them at all.
First off, you hit something I got to bring up, Jaylee. You said laws. There is a lot of laws in the book. Half of them don't even go by what they say in the law books, and that's a lot of the bullshit you see.
That's right.
So they make the laws, but they don't go by them. Imagine that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You can't make a heart. You either have one or you don't.
Amen. So you're on the same page with me. I'm pretty sure everybody else watching this video will be on the same page. I mean, again, ladies and gentlemen, if you just tuned in, to recap real quick, we were talking about an individual that died in prison or jail stealing Snickers and a Mountain Dew.
Well, Jay, I don't mean to interrupt you, but they're telling me my time's up. So I'm going to have to leave the show for today and send all my love and respect to all our fans. And everybody have a great afternoon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jaylee, for tuning in. I appreciate you. We'll see you on the next show. Have a great night, honey.
You too. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
The caller has hung up.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from the horse's mouth how she feels, and you've heard it from my own mouth how I feel. This is what's going on. But let me go ahead and read some more about this, and then I'm going to go back out of this and have my closing arguments. About 37% of people in prison have history of mental health problems. Again, let me read that number. And again, this was posted again in 2019. So the number has actually climbed since this article. So it's more than 37%. But for this podcast, I'm reading off what you see here, not made up stuff. About 37% of people in prison have history of mental health problems, according to a 2017 report from the U.S. Department of Justice. Go figure. More than 24% have been previously diagnosed with major depressive order, 17% with bipolar disorder, 13% with personality disorders, wow, and 12% with post-traumatic stress disorder. Are any of you surprised? The numbers are even higher for people in jail, where 1/3 have been previously diagnosed with major depressive disorder and amongst 1/4 with bipolar disorder. So there's obviously, guys, you guys can see an array of different disorders in our jails and prisons, and they don't get the proper help. So where's our goddamn tax dollars going then? Why do we even have a health department or a mental health department in prison if they don't use it? I'd like to see somebody try to answer that question. Continuing on real quick. We lock up people with mental health problems when we should really be treating these people in the community. Amen. In the absence of that, prisons and jails become a de facto treatment center because they have no idea what they're doing. Jails are not hospitals. Okay? They can't treat these people in jail because they have no idea what the hell they're doing. A lot of these doctors and nurses and all that are just brand new grads from medical school. They barely have any idea, knowledge-wise, what the hell they're doing. And there's proof of it. So, and if you guys want to read more about this, I'm not going to read any more about this, but you guys can see what's going on. There's proof right there, ladies and gentlemen. This webpage is the MPA. Go check it out. I'll even put this webpage in the description of this video, so you guys go click it and check it out for yourself. Read it. It's a good read. Very educational. But there you go. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. You can't make this stuff up. This is what we're dealing with every single day. And not just one little petty incident or petty crime. Imagine what some of the serious ones deal with. This is your tax dollars, ladies and gentlemen. My tax dollars. Going into a very messed up, corrupt ass system. And this is how we treat our patients, our Americans, our citizens, our youth. This is how we treat them. So in a sense, being that you're a taxpayer, I hate to say this, I'm one too, so it's on my hands too, but everybody that's a taxpayer, that gentleman's blood is on all of our hands, unfortunately. So in a sense, we kind of paid to kill him. Doesn't that make you upset? Makes me upset. This is what's wrong with our country. This is where we're at. This is why I do what I do. I can't stand this shit. I can't stand it. It just boils my blood. And I get the trolls and the haters and the naysayers and the negative people in here talking all this fucking shit. They have no idea what they're talking about. Some people think that's okay. But there's something wrong with you too then, if you think it's okay. Well, folks, thank you guys so much for joining this podcast here tonight. Like I said, I got a new schedule going, So we'll be doing podcasts on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. And we'll have the weekend off so I can spend time, quality time, if you will, with my family. So that's what we've got going on. That's an everyday occurrence. You can't make this shit up. I wish I could say we are, but unfortunately you can't. And that's where we're at. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get a hold of me personally, I've said it numerous times, you can do that. Email me right now at voicesfrominsideout@gmail.com. Let's hook up, let's chat, let's talk, let's do a podcast together. I know there's a bunch of individuals out there that want to do a podcast with me. All you got to do is email me. I tried emailing you guys and it's not going through for whatever reason. So email me now. Get a hold of me at voicesfrominsideout@gmail.com. Very simple, all one word. This is where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. We need change yesterday. We needed change a long ass time ago. And if you're a politician and you're watching this right now, get off your ass and go down to one of your local prisons and jails and see what firsthand with your own two eyes what's going on inside there. I think you'll be appalled. We need to wake up, ladies and gentlemen. Time's running out. Your locked up loved ones are suffering on a grand scale. You can either accept it, deal with it, ignore it, and shove it under the rug, or you can stand up, put your boots to the ground, and bring real change to our system. It's needed. It's time. With that said, I'm your host, Jay. I will see you all in the next video. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do very much appreciate it. Have a great night.